Well, it starts back that I was born in Hobbsville, North Carolina. And when I was 2 years old, my father was a carpenter, an undertaker, and a farmer all at the same time. He had a ledger full of debts, and they had a couple of bad years. And, of course, the farms down there, they paid them when they had good crops. So they had a couple of bad years, and they couldn't pay him. Bank wanted the money. So they took everything he had. So he piled us in his T-model Ford. He did get to keep his T-model Ford. And my oldest sister and older brother and my mother, and I was 2 years old, and my mother carried me in her arms all the way from down in Hobbsville, which is 11 miles out of Edenton, and carried me in her arms in that T-model Ford all the way up to Roanoke. I was about 12 years old before I knew there was anything besides bologna for breakfast, because it's 5 and 10 cents a pound, and eggs were 10 cents a dozen. And I remember those days very well. But we had a good time. We were poor like everybody else, but we had a good time just making building little roads under our front porches. We played with the little trucks and stuff, and I guess we really had been in the super highways, because we really had some. We'd get the concrete when they'd come in and pour the curbing and the sidewalks, and at the evening they'd dump the concrete that they had left and just dump it. We'd go get it and go down there and build bridges and roads. I was a pretty good student until I got to about the 7th grade, and I started getting lax and thought I knew everything. And by the time I was 15, I had quit school once, and decided I knew everything. But when I went to work over at the American Visco for $18 a week for a 40-hour week, one day I was working on the dryers, and I counted. I put my hands through 7 to 200 skeins of silk and put it on the rod to run it through the drying machine. And one evening about 7 o'clock, I was on the 3 to 11 shift, and I said, I'm not going to do this the rest of my life. So I went down to the employment man and talked him into letting me work 3 to 11 so I could go to Sunday school and catch up on my English, and I did go back and finish high school. I'm not proud of where I was standing in the class, because if I review it all now, I realize what opportunities I had and threw away. But that was a foolish decision that I made, but I corrected it to a certain extent. On up to 20 years old, I met a little girl up in Northwest named Hazel Huffman, and I talked to her into marrying me, and we were married on October the 9th in 1942. And all the time we knew that Uncle Sam was pointing his finger at me, wanting me. So when I turned 20, I got my draft notice. I didn't realize what I was doing until I looked down there and saw my dad with a few tears in his eyes, because he didn't know whether I'd be coming back or not. So seen an awesome sight, like those planes right there. Well, there was 3 rows of ships going out of Portsmouth and Weymouth. Three going to the north part for the English, 3 going to Omaha Beach with the Americans, and another one going down to Point Hot with the Rangers in the 4th Division.
Right.
And I've never seen so many boats in all my ships in all my life, and I felt pretty comfortable. because I went up on deck and looking around, and I looked over here on the right, and there was a Texas battleship. And I looked over here on the left, and there was the Arkansas battleship riding out there on the outer edges. So I wasn't worried, because they ain't going to fool with us with them big babies out there. So I felt pretty secure. So stuff being sunk and the boats getting blown out of the water. This friend of mine from down in Jacksonville, Florida, he got sick on the Higgins boat and flying in toward the beach, and he was over the side throwing his stomach up, you know, and the lieutenant says, "Soldier, get your head down. You want to get it blown off?" He just looked around and said, "Who cares?" Yeah. He was so sick. And you know, that fellow today has Alzheimer's to a certain extent, and he can't remember anything that you tell him 5 minutes ago. But you ask him anything about D-Day and fighting in France, and he can quote you every word that's in his memory.
How about that?
His name is John Robinson. When we got about 500 yards from the beach, the beach masters, that's the men that controlled what was coming on off the beach, radioed and told them not to dump any more soldiers there, to take us about 2,000 yards down to our left and landed behind where the 1st Division went in. Just before it was time for us to go, the lieutenant was standing there at the door, and he says, "I'm going to see what's going on out there." And he cracked the door, and when he did, a burst of machine gun fire went right across the top of it. He slammed that door shut. Great big balls of perspiration rolled out on him, and he looked at it. He says, "Men, the next time I open that door," said, "we got to go." And so he was a very good officer. He was a GI's officer, yeah. And he fit right in with the boys, and so he led us on to the beach.
So what does being an American mean to you?
It means that when I see my flag come by, I salute it. When I hear the national anthem, I salute it. When I hear taps, I salute it. When I see a soldier serving today, I try to get to them and thank them for their service that they're doing for our country. And this is the only place on earth I would really want to be, really and truly.
What do you think America stands for today?
You know, I have to sort of stop and shake my head and wonder what in the world is going on, and wonder what in the world is happening to our country, and why is this happening? Is God punishing us? I think there's enough going on that He needs to punish us and make us realize that we still need to have Him in our life. When I see somebody not paying attention or saluting the flag, the urge to reach there and do something to make them realize what they're doing.
Sure.
There's a disrespect to me for them to be doing that way, and I just can't stand it. It almost tears me to pieces. I think young people need to just take time out from their slapping a phone up to the ear, talking on the phone when they're driving, and devote some of that time to trying to what can I do to save my country, and what can I do to help my country? And am I doing the right thing? If I'm not, please, Lord, help me to do the right thing. And saying in closing down is, don't forget where you were born. Don't forget who you are, and be what you're supposed to be, and look to the future as if everything is going to be wonderful because you have done the right things, and stay on the good side of the Lord and stay on the good side of the law, and just be thankful that you can stand up and say, I'm proud to be an American.